Hello everybody and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program 2, where as promised, I have restarted the game here, and we are currently in a position where we have full control. I don't know, KSP2 is weird. It seems like this is bugged. We probably shouldn't have full control, however, if we hadn't have deleted our comsats, I believe that we would have full control at this point. Because we didn't have any issues with this in the past. And we went to places far more distant than this. With probes. So it should be absolutely fine. I don't think we'll have any major issues with having the full control of the comnet. It's not a problem. It's not like we're going to do a lot of manual control at this point anyway. At least not until we get within radio range of our target ship. So this is absolutely fine. I don't know, KSP2 is very strange, but we're going to set Eve as our target, and we are going to get a maneuver planned sometime around... I'm just looking at our relative positions. Sometime around here, something like this. Maybe a little earlier. Let's see. Let's see what this looks like. Little further than this. That's actually very, very close. Okay, we're going the wrong way, aren't we? We need to head over towards the maneuver node, so let's get going on that while we work on dialing in this node. Okay, so this is going to be out over here or so, and we can bring that a little bit more down. Okay, which direction do we go with the timing? Ah, there we go. That'll do. So what does this orbit look like? It's a pretty long orbit. It is well curved. Inclination is a little bit awkward, but we'll fix that. Overall, I think this is a reasonable orbit. It would encapsulate our target orbit. We can get our inclination changed. This seems fine. I'm going to roll with it. So we're facing exactly the wrong way right now, but you can see just how quickly we are actually turning here. So that's absolutely wonderful. Very glad to see that. And we're currently coasting, but we're trying to deal with, like, rotational velocity. Okay, I'm actually just going to continue to put more speed into this turn. I don't really want to coast it, because we're going to use the maneuver node here to deal with this. So this is fine. Let's just bring ourselves on over. I don't really care too much about the rotational velocity. But we need to change our pitch very significantly at this point. So that seems fine. We're currently braking on going this direction, which is, I think, okay. I'm not concerned about that one. We just need more pitch for right now. Once we get a little closer, I will stop braking this yaw. But for the moment, this seems quite good, actually. I'm really not concerned about that. So we're going to get lined up for this burn here. And it's actually still looking good. We're on a good line here. Yeah. Close enough. Let's warp. So we're going to warp forward here, and this is going to put us in a good position here. Excellent. So we're about 3 hours away, but we're definitely going to make it to Eve very, very easily here. That looks good. 2 minutes and 33 seconds. Okay, let's enter warp here, and let's warp forward a little faster. 2 minutes. 1 minute. 30 seconds. 20. 10. That definitely slowed down on us a bit. 5. 4. Definitely still not running at 1 second per second, but performance is moderate, at least. 2. 1. And mark. So we light up the engines, and we're going to burn about 600 meters per second here as we drop down our periapsis for an intercept with Eve. So this all looks good at this time. No doubt about that. We're going to have a very nice intercept here, and we'll just do a braking burn here, circularize it, match planes, and then go for a rendezvous. Seems very simple, very straightforward. I say knowing full well that we don't have any RCS on this and it's going to get slightly problematic. That said, it'll be a lighter load than the last time we docked, although not by much. It'll be a slightly lighter load. We've definitely not burned all that much fuel getting here. Also, this is now saying it's oscillating between 4,000 and 3,000 DV. I think the 14,000... I meant to say 14. I said 4 previously, but it's 14. I think the 14,000 DV is the accurate number, or accurate-ish. The more accurate number. I guess we'll put it that way. So we've got about a minute left on this burn. Let's warp through some of this. Excellent. 50 seconds. 40. 30. 20. 10 seconds remaining coming out of the warp. Excellent. Okay, so now we're just looking to hit a similar orbit to what we have here. It does not have to be an identical orbit, but a similar one would be nice. 3. Okay, here we go. I'm just going to cut the throttle now. This is good enough. So, like I said, it doesn't have to be an exactly identical orbit. This will do. So now what we're going to need to do is warp up to our encounter with Eve. So we want to, this is our encountering Eve, and this is our leaving Eve. So we want to warp to here. There we go. Let's make our way on in. Excellent. Yeah, limited due to proximity to celestial body. That is expected. I want to warp specifically to here, within the sphere of influence, but just barely within the sphere of influence. So that all looks good. And now we're in the SOI of Eve. That is perfect. I want to make sure that we are focusing Eve, which we are. And now, of course, at this periapsis, I want to create a maneuver plan. And this isn't quite at the periapsis. I'll do it a little before the periapsis. And we're going to want to do some braking here. Performance seems to be slightly degraded, maybe. Actually, it's not so bad. Okay, so I just want to circularize this here. So something along the lines of this will be fine. Cool. Now, this is not a circular orbit, and that's understood. We'd like to group up at either the apoapsis or the periapsis. Probably the apoapsis would be best. We'll see what that timing ends up looking like. But we need to align for that burn. So let's get moving on that, and we're just going to get circularized here, and I would like to set this as our target at this point. So we can see we're off by 13.5 degrees in the inclination. That's not so bad, actually. So we'll definitely match that inclination fairly soon here. We're starting to turn. Our turn rate is pretty decent once we actually spin up the momentum. But it takes a little bit to spin up that momentum, for sure. So we're getting started on that, and what direction do we actually need to turn for this? If this is target, we're on the 90 degree here, this is prograde. So we're going to need to flip around almost 180 degrees here over to nearly retrograde. I don't think it'll be quite at retrograde, but it'll be certainly a ways. We need to turn certainly a ways here. No doubt about that. That's okay. We do turn at a reasonably high rate with this thing, so that is fantastic. As far as the actual docking goes, it's gonna be awkward. Very, very awkward. We're going to need to get ourselves into as identical orbits as we can, as close together as we can, line it up, and just go for it. We can't do any fancy maneuvers. We can't really do too much, to be honest. So, we just got to get in position, go for it, and hope for the best. We can't do corrections. If we miss, we just gotta try again. So we can see we're definitely overshooting out over here. I'm going to kill our physics. There we go. And we'll start turning again, this time down to here. We were overcompensating in this direction, and we need to just come basically down, but over a little bit. So that, of course, means that we have to restart our momentum, right? And it takes a while to build up that momentum with our reaction wheels that we've got on this. Once we get turning, we turn at a good rate, but it takes a while to get started on it. But this is looking reasonably fine. We've got about 4 days to get in position until this burn is properly underway, and yeah, I'm reasonably content with what this is ending up looking like. It's not perfect, but it's good enough. Okay, so we're currently coasting our turn here. It's trying to get us lined up in the yaw direction. I'm going to bring our pitch down because I want to accelerate this a bit, and we're not worried about braking. So this is all absolutely fine. So we're just going to accelerate our pitch here, and I'm just letting the SAS handle the yaw for the moment. That is not really a deep concern. We're pretty lined up for that right now. So this is all looking good. Okay. Just about there on the pitch. We just need to pitch it a little further here. A few more degrees. And this is looking pretty good. Let's warp. Excellent. That's very close, and the SAS will get us there once we drop out of this warp. Although we're going to have to warp a couple more times, probably. This doesn't get us as close as we would like, but it'll be fine. So how far away is Eve right now? The answer is fairly, but we are definitely dropping on down. So that looks good. Okay. So we're currently about 3 minutes away. That actually got us closer than I expected it. I expected it to drop us like 4 hours away, but that's okay. So we're currently about 1 minute away now, dropping it down to 10x warp. 20 seconds. 10 seconds, dropping out of warp. And 4, 3, 2, 1, and Mach. Okay, so 530 meters per second here, and we're just angling for a nice circularization. That'll be fine. Let's go ahead and warp this. It'll be over a minute of burn time, so that's okay. We're going to drop it back down once we're about 10 seconds away from this burn completed. And then the next step is, of course, an inclination change. We need to get that 13.5 degree inclination fixed. So we've got about 20 seconds left here, and now about 10, dropping out of time warp. Okay. Overburned that ever so slightly, but it doesn't matter. It's completely fine. So at this point, I want to go over to our ascending node, and I want to create a maneuver plan here. I believe I can never remember if we need to go normal or anti-normal. I'm very bad at that. Anti-normal. Okay, perfect. So we're going to bring that in to about here. I want to toss in a little retrograde to this burn as well, but we're not going to need a huge amount of retrograde. Okay, little bit more retro here, not a lot. It's mostly a anti-normal burn. Okay. Well, that's 0.1 degrees. We can probably change the timing on it to make that slightly better. No, actually. 0.1 is as good as we're getting here, it looks like. I'm wondering if we burn a little harder here. That's now 0.2. Okay. Looks like it's not capable of bringing us down to our target position here. So we need to go a little anti-normal here to bring that back around. And we need to change this timing ever so slightly. So 0.1 was the best we had, and I'm actually going to delete this node, and we're going to retry the timing here, slightly before the ascending node. And I want to go anti-normal. I'm just going to do the inclination change here. I'm not going to do anything with the circularization for the moment. Okay, so that's about 0.3. If we move that forward... Okay, that's noted. There we go. That puts us in the correct inclination. So we're going to be a little uncircularized, but it probably doesn't matter. That's absolutely a-okay. We should have been aligning to that node while I was messing with it, to be honest, but let's get turned over there. It's just going to be a 90-degree turn, so that shouldn't be too bad. And we're going to get this 183 meters per second burned very shortly here. Okay, so I'm manually turning us here just to accelerate the process a bit because the SAS really likes to coast, and we're not actually interested in coasting here. We just want to get accelerated up as quick as we can. We want to get this turn going rapidly. So that'll be fine, and then as far as the actual encounter goes, I would like that encounter to be probably, if possible, at the apoapsis of the other vehicle. That would be ideal. But we'll see if that ends up being a thing. So I dropped off the pitch here, and we're just yawing at this point because we are a little over-pitched. So we're letting the pitch coast for the moment, and the SAS seems content with that as well. So that seems okay. We're just working on yawing at this moment. Yeah. Now the SAS is counteracting our pitch, and that seems good. This is about the right timing for that, so I think that's absolutely okay. I just want to yaw us over as much as possible. So that's all good. We're about 5 hours from this burn right now, and that means that we're going to be put in a pretty decent spot as far as our warp drop time. So I like that. Feels like we're not getting enough pitch right now. Let's just bring that down a little more. We're not on the line that I'm looking for here, so let's counteract some of that yaw and bring the pitch straight down. Yeah, we're going to overshoot here, and we're just going to call this good. It's not a perfect lineup, but it'll do for now. We'll be able to correct that here in just a moment. Literally right now. So we freeze the physics, we don't have to worry about the overshoot, and now we can just correct this as we get a little closer. Perfect. Shouldn't take very long at all to get us into that correct orientation. So that looks wonderful. Yeah, we're just about there. I'm going to call this good enough. We can gimbal the rest of the way, I think. Yeah, I'm going to call that good enough. And we're going to warp. So we're 2 minutes away right now. And a minute and a half. 1 minute. Okay, bringing it to 10x warp. 30 seconds. 20 seconds. 10 seconds from this burn. And 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. And we're burning. So let's change that inclination. 183 meters per second. That'll be fine. Just changing ourselves from this blue orbit into this, what is this, orange orbit, I guess? Presumably? I don't know. I'm colorblind. It's hard to tell. I think that's an orange orbit. It's definitely hard for me to tell, though. Yellowish? Greenish? Who knows? It's one of those. Definitely. So that is fantastic. I really think it's probably orange. Like, this is clearly orange. When I hover over it, it's more clearly orange. Okay, yeah, that's fine. So we have 12 seconds left in this burn. And that is, of course, wonderful. So once we're in this position, we'll make sure our inclination is as correct as this instrumentation will allow. And then, like I said, I'd like to find at the apoapsis an encounter. And I think that we're probably different enough in our orbits that we can do that. So that'll be good. We're about 3 seconds away from the end of this burn right now. 2 seconds. 1 second. Okay. That is the end of the burn. 0.1. Slightly overburnt, I think, but I'm not going to be too worried about it. It's good enough. So that's fine for now, and we're just going to create a maneuver plan around here-ish, and we drop down our periapsis to be roughly equivalent to this apoapsis. So that would be something like putting it out over here, right? And then we drop it down a little further, and we see what that timing looks like. That is actually not terrible on the timing. I mean, it's a pretty far distance from target, but we can change the timing on it just ever so slightly, and that should be very, very large changes. Yeah. I saw 5 kilometers there. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I'm going to call 5 kilometers good enough. So that seems fine. And then our relative speed is going to be 555 meters per second. So we're definitely going to have to time that and get some braking done or get closer on the way in. But honestly, I feel like 5 kilometers is probably enough for that. So at this point, we want to get aligned to this burn. However, I can tell you this. It's going to take more than 3 minutes to get this docking sequence completed. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out this turn, and we're going to do the actual rendezvous and the docking sequence next episode, is the way that this is going to go. And the frame rate's going to get a lot worse. So you can look forward to that. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including ALS Gamer, Atala, Ali Lee, Dark Horse, Xenocyte, Upper Cumberland Gamers, Nick Smarty, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, The Lounge STL, Kentogan, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time.